Wow. And this liquidity crisis will be worse than the mortgage crisis of '08, potentially.
Yes, because we're talking about markets, well, for two reasons. One, we're talking about markets with a lot more leverage. Mortgages were leveraged, and everyone said, "Oh, there's only $1 trillion of mortgages, subprime mortgages." If there's a 20% default rate, which is sky high, a high rate is 5%. Let's just say a 20% default rate. So that's $200 billion of losses, which in real terms was less than the S&L crisis in the 1980s. So like, yeah, 200 billion is a big number, but we can bear it. What people didn't understand, and when I say people, I'll start with Ben Bernanke, Hank Paulson, and others. What they didn't understand was that, yeah, there was $1 billion of subprime mortgages, but it was leveraged 6 to 1 in the derivatives market. So it was actually six. If I said a billion, I misspoke, a trillion, but it was actually $6 trillion because it was leveraged 6 to 1 in derivatives. And now 20% of 6 trillion is 1.2 trillion. Now you're talking real money. So now apply that to Eurodollar futures, which is basically shorthand for the entire global banking system. And that's much, much more leverage than 6 to 1. So it's a bigger crisis and it's coming our way.
Wow. All right. This is heavy stuff, but I know we're also got a few more things to talk about. Again, there's a separate video, Countdown to Crisis. There's a link below that talks about how this crash is going to be fast, bloody, and unavoidable. It's londonreal.tv/Jim, but you also talk about how you can position yourself to profit from this. I want to talk about the war in Ukraine, because you said that Russia's winning in Ukraine, both on the ground and in the financial war. And maybe first we kind of zoom out, because like you said, from a humanitarian level, no one likes to see what's happening there. But also It's important to diagnose what actually is happening there. So maybe you can speak on how you see that conflict.
Well, all wars are filled with lies and propaganda. That just comes with the territory. Winston Churchill's famous quote was, in wartime, the truth is so important it must be surrounded by a bodyguard of lies, which is exactly right. So Ukraine lies, Russia lies, got it. So the hard part for an analyst is where can I get good information? Where can I get somebody who is actually trying to report? Not easy to do, but there's some good sources. The Swiss, for example, the Swiss, like a nice peaceful country. There's a machine gun under every bed in Switzerland. Every parking lot is a bomb shelter, and this place is heavily armed. Every responsible adult has been in the military. You don't get anywhere if you haven't. But a lot of Swiss military at the colonel level, they'll retire and join like UN peacekeeping forces, and some of them were in eastern Ukraine. So they got some really good firsthand experience, and they care about getting it right. Agence France actually is doing a very good job. Macron has the best dialogue with Putin. I'm not saying he's a fan, but those two guys talk. And Agence France press is a good source. There are other sources, but you got to dig. But that said, the Ukrainian propaganda operation, when I see that, the particular kind of propaganda, I knew they were losing from the start because they wouldn't have been doing what they were doing. For example, remember in the early days of the war, you'd see Instagram or Twitter or whatever, there would be a woman in camouflage with an automatic rifle. It's like everyone in Ukraine is picking up arms and standing up for the country. And, the Ukrainians are very attractive people. They kind of descended from Vikings in a lot of cases. But I said, these women look like models. All right, you volunteer, you care about your country, but they all look like Vogue models. Turns out they were models who were like dressing up in camo and holding guns. It's like, okay, you're lying out of the gate. They show a film of a Russian tank being blown up, and then you see 20 in 20 days. It was the same tank. They kept showing it from different angles, etc. And the Russians are kind of keeping their mouths shut. There's propaganda, of course, but they were just getting it done. This has been slow, brutal, bloody, but relentless. And Russia, of course, they had Crimea since 2014. They built the land bridge from Russian territory to Crimea. They took Mariupol, which was not only a critical port on the Sea of Azov, but it was the hotbed of the neo-Nazis, the Azov Brigade. And when I say neo-Nazis, I'm not throwing names around. These guys are neo-Nazis. They trace the roots back to Stefan Bandera and what happened in World War II when they sided with the Nazis to fight the Russians. So, and the reason Putin went for it, and that was so bloody and protracted, well, there are three reasons. One, critical port. Two, major steel industry. But three, he wanted to eliminate the Azov Brigade, the Nazi element in the Ukrainian armed forces. And he did. He accomplished all three things. They got Luhansk, they got Donetsk, they've got Severodonetsk. They're moving slowly. They've learned. They made some mistakes for sure, but they've learned from their mistakes. They've got Odessa in their sights. Ukrainian casualties are high. Is the U.S. sending some weapons? Yeah. Germany, by the way, is not sending any more weapons because they're not going to have any natural gas if they do. And the thing is, I've never seen a war that was easier to avoid. All that had to happen before the war, as late as early February, Biden picks up the phone, calls Zelensky, says, we're going to issue a joint statement saying Ukraine will not join NATO. Ukraine will remain neutral. It doesn't have to be pro-Russian, neutral. We'll give Donbass, Luhansk and Donetsk a high degree of autonomy, but they can kind of remain in the country. And on that basis, Putin will say, okay, that's good enough for me. That's what I want. And we're done. No war.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple-digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone. Also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up.
If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?